All right, everybody, welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Pop Goes the Zebra. I'm joined by my co-host, Jesse the Ref. And with us today is the first of a few very special guests that we are going to be having on the show in the coming week and a half, however long we space this out for. But we are joined by the one and the only Rob King. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Man, it is so good to see you. Uh,
It is.
it's
It's
been
been a
what?
while.
It's been what? September?
It's been a while. Yeah, September was the
Sep-
last one when we did
Last
the
Warrior.
Stadium Series. Yeah,
Man. And you saw the news. We're going to see each other again very shortly.
absolutely. So everything kind of
Yes.
came at once. The Stadium Series and then NWA coming back. It's just everything's just happening at once.
Dude, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan because we're kind of at that point in the year where the weather's heating up and you're going to start seeing more and more and more of these shows popping up, man. It's going to be great.
I couldn't agree more. Yep.
Oh, man.
So
It's good to see you, man. It's always
good
good
to
to
see you
see
too,
you.
man.
We have such a fun time at Warrior, but when you're at work, you're at work. You don't really get a ton of time
Nope.
to sit down and really chew the fat. Sometimes you get that brief moment here and there, but it's going to be so good to sit down and talk to you tonight, and just kind of just chew the fat a little bit and just pick your brain and just kind of open up that wealth of knowledge that you've acquired through your career for anybody in the business that's watching this, because I've learned a lot from you in just the 3 years we've known each other, and I figured, you know what, we got to get you on the show.
Well,
So
I definitely appreciate you guys thinking about me. I everybody knows that on my shoot job, I'm a police officer, and so doing the referee thing is it's a passion of mine.
oh
But
man.
obviously, we all know that when you first get into the business, you don't get into the business to get paid, and you don't get into the business to get rich. So you have to do something to kind of take care of your family and everything. So it's nice that my career has lasted as long as it's lasted. And it's nice that I've gotten to meet some new people, some cool new people, because my circle was really small for a couple of years there, and that's just due to me working so much.
Right, right. So, right off the bat, let's start at the beginning. How did you get into the business, and what were your early influences there? And to piggyback even off of that, how from that start, how has things changed all these years later?
Sure. So obviously, everybody that knows of the King Boys, they know we're twins, and they know that there's we look just alike, we're identical. Not anymore so much, but we when we first broke into the business, we were. But my mom got us into wrestling. My mom was a huge wrestling fan. My granny was a huge wrestling fan. So my granny took my mom to shows, which in turn made my mom take us to shows. And so we'd watch wrestling all the time, and every time they came around, we were in the Peoria area. So every time they came to the Peoria Civic Center, my mom got us tickets. There was no shortages of tickets, no shortages of shows. My mom made it happen. And being a single mom and making that happen for us was absolutely awesome. So we were wrestling fans to the core. Like there was nothing else. People talk about, when we were kids, He-Man and, all these different things. We didn't like that. We liked wrestling. So our first live event we went to, the main event was Andre the Giant and Haku versus Demolition for the tag team championships. So
Jeez.
that was
Ooh.
a monster main event. And from that moment on, I knew I wanted to be in the business. But Justin and I have always been super small. So we knew wrestling probably was out the question. So we always imaged and emulated the referees. We would sit in our living room and do these little counts and do all this stuff. And in 2006, we got so lucky that we ran into a small town promoter in Danville, Illinois, and he
Uh-huh.
happened to be at the mall with these replica belts, and it's like, oh man, they got these belts, man. This is awesome. Like, so we started talking to them, and then they realized how big of fans we were, and they were like, hey, we're getting ready to start up this company. You guys should come down and try and check it out. So we did. We went as referees, and I don't want to say they trained me because they didn't. You normally don't get any training, but I also did wrestling training at the same time. So I wrestled for the first 6 years of my career.
That's pretty similar to me. I also, for a good portion of my childhood, grew up with a single mom, And wrestling was one of those things that, we both bonded over because, you're talking late 80s, early 90s. She was into those big muscle bound guys and tights, and and I love the action, and everything was bigger than life. And I remember we were at a show in Valpo, and the big boss man, threatened me with his nightstick because I wouldn't, stop jumping around, and I was hooked there. And it's funny you said that you were trained as a wrestler when you first started. I did too. And I remember there was a moment where I said, you know what, I'm 5'8", I'm about 200 pounds. I'm not that athletic, and I don't come off the top rope. Maybe the tights are not for me.
So how can I say it? I was a really good wrestler, but I was tiny, and my gimmick was I wore a hood and I wrestled under a mask. And my gimmick was that I could beat anybody, but I would lose every night. And I would lose to girls. I would lose to girls. I would lose to the big man in the back. But, the thing is like, it just wasn't as exciting to me as putting the stripes on. And then I met Chad and Jack, Chad Patton and Jack. They lived in the area, and my mom actually hired Jack Doan's wife at the time. So we had our birthday party at Jack Doan's house. And then when they would come around, they would let us get in the ring and stuff at the WWF events at that time. They would let us get in the ring and try to teach us different things. And Chad and Jack would come to our shows in Danville. And so they would give us tips and pointers on, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong, you need to work on this, you need to work on that. Well, 2 years later, my brother got signed to WWE. So once he got signed to WWE, the training just started to take off because everything he learned, I learned.
It filtered down, man.
Absolutely. So my wrestling career has been kind of crazy, but I've been living in the shadows of my brother for so long, and it's tough to get out of that. But I can't complain about the career I've had because I've been a couple places.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our different paths in life, and you're doing pretty good for yourself. As you said, you're working with NWA, and as you said, they're starting back up. And that's just, it's amazing just how there's no straight ABC path to your end goal. There's just a lot of side roads, and you just never know where it's going to lead. How long have you did it take for you to realize that being a referee was your calling? I mean, when was your aha moment?
Right away.
Right away.
As I got in the ring, I don't know what it is about being a referee to me that is just the best. And I think it's the reason why it's the best to me is because we are it. The referees, if there is no referee, there's no match. Let's just be honest. I know that we don't sell tickets, but I'm going to tell you just as well as the boys. And that's why I always preach to people, we're on the same level as the boys. We just don't get the recognition,
Right.
Without us, there's nothing. Honestly, we're the third man in that ring, and we know everything.
Right. I used the analogy once, and I figured you'll probably pick up on this, and you'll see why in a second. We're the drummers in the band.
Absolutely.
We're the drummers, man.
There is no band without the drummer.
Exactly.
I've been playing drums for 30 years. I was in a heavy metal band for 10 years. There is no drummer no band without the drummer, and there's no referee without the match. And that's the thing. The referee job, in my opinion, out of the 15 years I've been doing this, is the second hardest job in the business. You got the promoter, then you got the referee. They don't go to anybody else to go find the boys when they're missing. They go to us.
Yeah.
They don't, if there's a change in the card, who do they tell? They don't tell the boys, they tell us. And we tell them.
So that kind of leads into my next question. The referee is relied upon, and a good referee is relied upon for a lot of things. In your opinion, in your eyes, from your experience, what is a good referee?
So to me, a good referee is somebody that when they go in, they command the ring. Okay. You're a referee. So in football and basketball, hell, in tennis, you're the referee. So when the rules are there for a reason, right?
Precisely.
I can't tell you enough how much referees get buried nowadays, and there should be no reason on earth you get buried at all. Okay. So to me, a good referee is somebody that knows what they're doing and is not afraid to make the call. You have to do what's right for the show. And as a fan, if they're seeing things that's not right, we should be the ones to say that's not right. Let's step in here. And it just comes with time. I'm not saying that new referees are not good referees, but it comes with time. You
They're
got to
inexperienced. Yeah.
exactly. You got to put your time in and soak up everything you can. Don't think you're above learning. And once you start to get that mindset that I can learn from anyone, you're golden. I've been doing this longer than you have, not Jeremy.
Yes, sir. You have.
Okay, so when I get to Warrior Wrestling, sure, I've been doing this quite a while. I've been on a national level and everything, but at Warrior Wrestling, you're the man. You know what's going on. You know what's happening here. You know what's happening there. So I learn from you at Warrior Wrestling. So I'm not above learning from you, who is the senior official at Warrior Wrestling. So you know that's just how it is. You're a sponge. You soak it up. You got to take it in. You can't be overly confident. You got to be able to mesh well with everyone and just be an overall commander of the ring. You got to command the ring.
The senior official thing, that's a great title on paper, but I don't want anybody out there getting the wrong impression there. If I have a question,
there's nothing wrong with being called the senior official. The senior official just basically makes sure everything's running smooth. That's not to say you're better than one referee or another. That's to say that you're the person that we go to when we need something answered, because you know.
Yeah. And if I ever have a question or I need a sounding board, I have one of the best sounding boards in the game right now, right there next to me. So Rob, I've always appreciated having you there, man.
So, but what I'm saying is I'm not saying senior officials come off as like, oh, he's in charge. Because when we're in the NWA, Brian was a senior official. There was a reason he was a senior official. If I needed something or Jared Fritz needed something, we could go to him. We knew he could find the answer for us. Just like at Warrior Wrestling, I know you can find the answer for me.
I will do my best. You talked about, young officials not being experienced. What advice do you have for young officials, just kind of just dipping their toes in the water? Maybe they're fresh out of their first home promotion and they're starting to branch out into the next promotion and starting to make the rounds a little bit. What would be some advice for them?
So for me, you got to be able to pay your dues. Hope a little bit. Set up some stuff, man. When I first started, my twin and I would set the ring up by ourselves. Honest to God, we would make the boys bring in the wood, but we would do the whole frame. We would do the ropes. We would do the canvas. We'd make sure everything was set. You got to pay some dues, and you need to know your worth. I say this a lot. People get mad at me for saying it, but know your worth. You traveling 6 hours to go to a show and getting paid $10 or $20. That does you no good. You're basically putting the money that you just spent in your gas back into your gas tank. You need to be able to honestly say, okay, this is what I think, and then you can compromise with people. You don't have to go so far out that they're like, no, we can't take you. But still, know your worth as a referee. You're a referee. You're doing 6 or 7 matches a night, while that one person is doing one match and getting paid $2,000. These are the things that people don't want to talk about. Like, some guys come in and they're making a crap ton of money, and referees are doing 6 or 7 matches a night, getting paid $20. That makes no sense to me.
I mean, they get exposure, brother.
I get that exposure, but exposure can only take you so far in the business, and that's the truth.
Amen.
It's the truth. And so I don't mean that. I don't mean to be negative, because that's not my connotation here. I don't want to be negative, but if I had any advice, is know your worth and help out. Don't come in and just sit like a bump on the log. Ask where you can be used. That's how you learn different things backstage. So exactly. like a Jason Ayers, prime example. He learned some things backstage, and look at him now. You see what I'm saying?
He had the main event of Mania a few years back. Kofi Mania, baby.
Doing producer. He wasn't, I'm talking about like he's doing producer.
And now he's producing, yeah.
Yeah, referee, he worked his way up by trying to learn. That's how you do it. So my advice is, don't set your eggs in one basket. There's always stuff that needs to be done backstage, and maybe you can do some dual things, talent relations, or working back in Gorilla, or and more than just being a referee.
And Jesse, I think you can probably comment on that as well as anyone. I know you don't just wear the stripes in a lot of places that you go. You want to talk about some of the stuff that that Robert could be alluding to? What are some of the things that you like to throw your hat in the ring for?
Yeah, 100% with the production. This past weekend, we did 2 shows live on IWTV. So I was coordinating between the camera personnel, lighting personnel, the IWT stream guy, gorilla position, music. I was getting everybody on the same page with our time cues, where we were in the show when we had pre-tapes going in, coordinating the referees, getting to and from the ring to get people in and out of the ring. Uh, Helping with the time cues and going out and doing what I needed to do. So that's kind of why I was like, my voice is very, very shot from a lot of the talking and yelling this weekend. So it's very critical to know different to have auxiliary roles within a company because it makes you an asset uh, because you're so universal, and it improves your ability as a referee to know, like, okay, well, we're getting ready to come out of this pre-tape, and guys are ready, we're ready, your stuff, and you're able to jump.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yes, sir. So, what's some of the best advice that you've ever received as a referee?
I've received a lot of advice.
So now I'm asking you to pick your favorite child in a sense.
So, I've had the fortunate. I've been so fortunate to work with the Hebners for the last 5 years now, and there was some times on TV. The best advice to me was get out of the way. You don't need to always be in the camera shot, right? Because you don't. You're not there to be seen. And my twin actually told me that. That was the one thing Kevin Dunn always said to him. I like you because you're never in the camera shot. We never see you. So Brian, when we did these studio tapings, I thought it was parallel and paramount that I get everybody their time cues. So in the first couple episodes of Power, you'll see me. Yeah, I throw my fist all the way up in the air and I'm like, give the time cue, right? Fist in the air, time cue, and you could clearly see it. And it was like an urgent, I need to get this to you. And Brian pulled me aside and he goes, bro, you need to settle down, calm down. And he's like, give them the time cue when you got time, when you're checking on them or when you're doing something in motion. That way it doesn't look as conspicuous when you're giving that time cue. And that changed the face of how I did things on Power. But Power was such a different thing because it was in a studio, you're playing to this camera, and then you got the guys down moving the cameras that have never done wrestling before. So you're in camera shots that you never thought you'd be in because they're moving and you don't know where they're moving to. So Brian just told me to check my surroundings and not be so conspicuous. And I think that kind of helped me with NWA.
Man, I'll tell you what, probably the best advice I ever got was probably similar to what you said. Someone told me, I believe it was Jason actually, that said, you just got to quiet down. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't say a word. He's like, no, not that. Your body language, quiet down, because there's a difference between being a part of the scenery and being a big, gigantic, obnoxiously colored picture on the wall.
Sure.
And once I understood what he meant by that, it was night and day for me.
Sure.
Jesse, how about you? What's some of the best advice you've ever gotten?
Very much a lot of the same, like, hey, you're doing too much. You need to start. You're a background character. You don't need to be seen as much as you're making yourself seen. So you need to really tone what you're doing down and only be there when you need to be there. Which I have moments where I'll get caught up in a match and be a little bit more over the top than I need to be. But no, that's definitely the main thing. Just like they're telling their story out there, I'm just back here till they need me.
We're a supporting actor.
Also too, there's one more thing that and I just had it in my mind and I'm drawing a blank. Sorry.
You've been working all day, man. It's all right.
Yeah, but you know what? This was an important one. I'll come back to it. If I remember, I'll come back to it. I don't want to
You
drag,
know,
but there was one more thing that was important. I can't remember for the life of me now.
well, maybe we'll say something that'll trigger it, you know, and
Yeah,
we can definitely circle back to it.
sure.
What would you say has been like your greatest triumph in wrestling as a referee?
Honestly, um, the day I got to ref Nick Aldis's match, because in NWA, now I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but Nick chooses his referee. Okay. So there is no board that says who's repping Nick. It's who Nick wants to rep his match. So the first time I got to actually do it, and it was a one of those nail biting moments because you're reading that script, that little script we do at the beginning about the championship, and every single championship match has that. And I didn't know the script, so I had to learn it, and I learned it the day of the show. And I
Right.
just kept repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And I didn't want to fumble over my words in front of a live audience. And this is in Tennessee where there is a sold out
Oh
tried and
yeah.
true show, well over 1,500 people in this building. And it's a it's small building for 1,500 people. But the fact to get to ref Nick Aldis and James Storm, who both can tell stories and they could tell them really well. And the fact that, Billy was involved, it was a match where Billy was involved. So there was a lot of moving pieces. Camille was out there. So there just was so much going on. And to be able to do that match and do it right, that was one of my greatest moments. To hold up that 10 pounds of gold that I never got to really hold up. And this is a belt that I watched people carry growing up.
That
And
belt's
just
got some lineage to it.
absolutely. And just the fact to get to hold it was awesome. Also, my first pay-per-view with Impact Wrestling.
Oh man. I ask the greatest triumph question because a lot of the time, you see interviews and things like this where it's just a fluff piece, and it's all what are all the good things you've done. They never want to talk about the work that it takes to get there. So my question to piggyback off of that is, what is your greatest failure in wrestling? Because without failures, I believe you can never have true success.
Um, yeah. So in 2013, I finally got the call from the WWE. And
Okay.
Back then, I would say I was young, I was immature, I had no clue what I was doing. I thought I did because I had been in the business for 7 years. But I knew nothing going into this. And I went to this tryout camp, and it was a big tryout camp. Kalisto was there, Eli Drake was there. So we had some big names come out of that particular camp, but I was the only referee.
Mhm.
So it was 30 guys and me. So, and I think to me, I thought I had it in a sack. I went in with the mindset, well, my brother's here, so if he's here, I should
Right?
be able. I should be able to make it. And it was a slap in my face when I got the call from Canyon Seaman, and he told me that my look and attitude lacked authority in the ring. So that feedback
Uh-oh.
didn't sit well with me as a cop. So the authority portion of it. So, but I get where he was coming from years later. It took me a couple years to get where he was coming from. So I wasn't like, you're aggressive, get in there and tell them what to do type of referee, because these are big men that are working in the WWE. Like, I just thought that I wasn't at that level at the time to do that to them, if that makes sense. So I held back a little bit, not going in thinking overly cocky, get in there, get your hands dirty. But that's what they wanted. Okay. And so I didn't get picked up. And it shot me down for a while. I'm not gonna lie to you. And then a couple months later, they let my brother go. So it was just a whole whirlwind of stuff. And I felt like I failed. I felt like this is it. I'm probably done refereeing after this, because what's the point of me doing this? Is the way I felt. And I had just had a kid. I literally had a kid in November. I went to do my tryout in February.
Man, talk about the weight of the world in your shoulders there. I couldn't imagine going into that, because that's a tough enough Not to use a pun there, but that's such a pressured situation. I've never had the opportunity myself, but I've known people that have all said, man, it's a pressure cookie. And then you've got a family that you've got to support, and life, and I couldn't imagine having all that going through my head and trying to go for the dream job. I can't believe that you're stronger than I would have been in that situation. I'd have crumbled.
Let me tell you too, it felt like I felt not only for me but for her too, because the amount of support that I get from my wife is ungodly. You have no idea. Like, I go to NWA and I travel and do that. That's because she doesn't have a problem with it. I went to Impact Wrestling when I worked at Impact Wrestling. We would tape for a week, and she never had an issue with it. So it's the support that you get, and I just felt like all this support she gave me, and I let her down. That was where I was mentally back then.
Oh man, I remember. I'm not going to go into uber specifics, but I remember. It was over the summer. I had an issue in a match where I messed up the finish, and you wouldn't know it was there if you didn't know what the finish was. But the words that were exchanged after that match hurt me a lot.
Sure.
And it messed with my confidence. I thought, because this was a point where a lot of people don't really know, but I had an opportunity that due to COVID no longer presented itself due to COVID-19 becoming a thing in March. So I was feeling pretty strong there. Then, coming into August again after that layoff, it just blowing a finish, which, is not really one of my big issues that I worry about in a match. It messed with me for a long time. So, yeah, I mean, I think we've all had something happen in our careers where, we're flying high, we're feeling great, and then just that little thing, whatever it may be, just absolutely guts you. And I feel like it's not your mistake that makes or breaks you. It's how you respond from it.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty certain you responded pretty well, because you're having a great career right now. You've held to. Yeah, you've refereed for 10 pounds of gold. You're one of the referees at NWA. You're tried and true. You've had time at Impact. I mean, I would say that you rebounded and found a way to move on and learn from your downfall.
Sure.
And that's the name of the game. It's how you respond.
Sure.
So what would you say now are some goals that you've got in your career? You are sitting on a very impressive resume as it is. What would you like to see for yourself going forward?
Honestly, I have a goal, and it's not even a big goal. It's a minor goal. I have never been signed to a contract, never, and I've never ever signed on a dotted line with anyone, and I've always worked on an as needed basis. And my goal for 2021 is to get signed somewhere, whether that be NWA, whether that be Impact Wrestling or AEW. I don't want to go to WWE. That is not my style. That is not the way I want to do things. I'll throw that out there for anyone. I've already went that route, and that route didn't work out for me. And plus, it's just the traveling, traveling right now.
Right.
Not that I don't have a problem with traveling, because I don't, but it's just not for me. My twin did it. That was his thing. And I don't want to be always looked at as the shadow, So my goal is to get signed. My goal is to have a contract, a contract that somebody says, I want you to work for me for the year. That's what I want.
And you know what? That's a great goal to have. Jesse, how about you? What are some of your goals going forward? What do you want to do here?
I'm actually I want to say I'm in the same boat with Rob on that. I've been doing this long enough. I've put my body through enough that I would like to see that the end goal of all this that I've gone through is putting my name on a piece of paper with a company saying that we want you to work with us exclusively. Um, and again, I'm in the same boat with him. You know, AEW, Impact, because they tape here in Nashville where I live. Um, those are two major companies that I'd like to work with. Uh, I'm with him on the WWE. That's just not my style. That's not how I want to do things. So that's ideally that would be my goal.
Uh, my goal, I do want to give it my all and try to do the WWE thing. That's the style that, you know, for the last few years has been, you know, taught to me, you know, here and there whenever I can get a minute. But you know, that's the big goal right now. Simply, I just want to. I just want to get back. I want my routine back. As selfish as that sounds and as cliche as that sounds, given the environment we find ourselves in, I want to have shows every weekend. I want to go to Chicago 2-3 times a month. I want to have Black Label. I want to have Warrior. I want to have MLW. I want to have Freelance. You know, I just want to get back to that and put all of this crazy year that we've had behind us. As selfish as that is, considering we've had more problems than just wrestling not being there go on in our world. But you know, just that I want to get back to that where, you know, I'm putting miles on, you know, on the speedometer and seeing the good brothers and sisters out there just and enjoying, you know, enjoying being back in the ring again, because I haven't had a match since September. October, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're up at the Collective.
Yeah.
Mine was September.
Yeah, so you know, I would like to work up to that skill set where I'm worthy to be counted in WWE, but I, you know, if I had to try out tomorrow, I would fail miserably. I'd probably spell my name wrong at this point, you know. But let's kind of pivot off of wrestling for a minute, and let's ease let's take a little deep breath here and let's talk about some non-wrestling stuff. Rob, over the last few weeks we've done some various topics and things like that, and a couple of them we really liked and made like a two-part like episode out of, and one of those was about our movie likes and pleasures, our television and movie likes and guilty pleasures. What's something you love that probably everybody loves, and then what's something that you should feel guilty about liking it, you'll probably catch the raspberries for it, but damn it, you love it anyways. So for you, you're sitting down, you've had a long week of shift work, you sit down, what are you throwing on?
The Office.
Office.
That is my favorite show of all time. I have watched all 9 seasons probably 8 times. I am a huge Office nerd. And I still watch it. I actually, when Netflix got rid of The Office, I picked up Peacock that day.
Oh, man. Damn.
So, but my guilty pleasure, my movie, believe it or not, is Mean Girls.
Hey, whoa. You can't sit with us.
I love Mean Girls.
You can't sit with us.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
So you're saying you were pink on Wednesdays is what you're trying to tell me.
Exactly. I love that movie, and you know, and you know what? There's another movie that runs synonymous with that, and that's Freaky Friday. And I don't know if it's Lindsay Lohan or what.
It's got to be Lindsay Lohan.
I love those movies. I just love them.
You know, I threw out 10 things I hate about you and Bring It On, the first one, just because I just loved the 90s snarkiness that both of them had. But you know, you'll throw movies like this or Bring It Up or Mean Girls or things like that. Well, Mean Girls, the people in my circle, a lot of them will pop for Mean Girls. So like outside of the circle, I could see Mean Girls kind of getting a little bit of a from the broskies, but you know, I have no problem with Mean Girls either, man. Oh man.
Hands down.
So like, we didn't do an episode on this, and maybe we'll have to go back and do it at a later time, Jesse, but we would love to know your musical likes and also your musical guilty pleasure.
You'd be surprised on my musical likes. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, I don't know. I've heard you rattle off some stuff in the locker room
So
before.
I am a huge, huge Kill Switch Engage fan. I'm a huge Seven Dust fan. Obviously, LeJean and the boys, they play here in Illinois all the time, and we've actually played. My band specifically opened up for Mudvayne and Bullet for My Valentine, and
Wow.
so I'm into drummers, man. So metal is my life. Like Lamb of God, Chris Adler. Before Chris Adler left Lamb of God, hands down one of my favorite drummers, and he's a beast. So
There you go.
I'm into metal, but then you'd be surprised. My guilty pleasure is country music.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
I'm talking everything from Blake Shelton to, geez, I can go down the line. I love country music, and I'm a singer, so I sing country, which is crazy to say.
Nothing wrong with that.
But
I mean,
I love country. And not just Darius Rucker. Everybody always asks me, do you like Darius Rucker? I'm like, there's more people than Darius Rucker.
wow.
Rascal Flatts is my favorite band of all time. And I've been to see them live in concert a couple times.
Oh, brother. Oh,
I can
brother.
sing probably all 73 of their songs. No joke.
Brother. Rascal Flatts. So what you're telling me is you're also a big Cars fan by default then.
I've never seen the movie, surprisingly.
Oh, you haven't seen the movie.
I know the song from the soundtrack.
Yeah. Actually, that's a cover.
I know it is.
Yeah.
I know it is, but they tore that cover up.
Oh,
come on now.
You're hurting me here a little bit.
Rascal Flatts is one of my favorite bands. They just came out with a 7-disc CD a couple weeks ago, and I already know all the songs.
My man's glowing about Rascal Flatts right now. I did not when we sat down and said, we got to get Rob on here. I did not see this episode having a moment where you'd be glowing about Rascal Flatts.
When I went to that amphitheater there in Tinley Park,
whatever it's called now,
I was singing every song, drunk off my butt, singing those songs in those stands.
I'll tell you what, I do love that amphitheater. I've had some good times there. I'm a Jimmy Buffett guy, so I've had some good time out there on that lawn, rocking out to Jimmy Buffett. I will never apologize for being a parrot head, man.
Yeah, so I'm not going to take back that I said Rascal Flatts neither. It's one of my favorite bands.
Every time I see you now, I'm going to give you some guff about Rascal Flatts just because. If you don't start gel tipping your hair and doing the highlights and all that.
I don't have any hair to gel tip, or so I would.
You would. You absolutely would. My goodness, man. Rascal Flatts, really?
Yeah, no, I did not see that one coming.
I know all 173 songs of the Rascal Flatts.
Oh, man, you sound like...
Okay, so this is kind of funny. So Rob's a drummer. Jeremy plays guitar. I'm a bassist. So...
Oh, wow.
I feel like Rob could throw some 6-string down, though. I feel like you're not a stranger to it. Am I picking up that vibe?
What's that?
Little guitar out of you?
I can play guitar, yes.
I thought I sensed that in the that disturbance in the force.
Drums is my life. I wouldn't trade the drums for the world.
I need to pick the drums back up. It'd probably help with my cardio.
That's that's me being a bass player. Like, nobody likes bass players. Nobody wants to be a bass player. So
the drummers do.
Drummers love
drummers books because
bassist,
the band's nothing.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you get right in that groove pocket and you're locked in with the drummer and you're both just absolutely crushing it.
You're in the rhythm.
Yeah. See, that's like my favorite bass players were John Deacon from Queen and John Entwistle from The Who. So, like, two very dynamic bass players that would play off of their drummers.
You know who's a bad bassist? Peanut from 311.
Yeah.
Really,
man,
that's solid.
Dude, some of the newer metal bands, those bass players are just insane.
And also Mudvayne's bass player, I forget his name, I think it's Ryan. Mudvayne's bass player is really good.
Oof. Man, rocking that super low end too.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Okay.
But bass players don't get enough respect, in my opinion.
Man, I not necessarily to do with the bass, but I used to go to a lot of live shows and like concerts, things like that. And I used to have this saying that you could tell that things were mic'd properly when the drummer could hit the floor bass, and it felt like even if you were like 70 75 yards out from the stage, it felt like somebody was literally just punching you as hard as they could in the chest. That is how you knew everything was mic'd properly.
So my bass head had a pad on it, on the inside, and that sound that you're talking about at every show, boom, boom, boom.
It's like you had to lean into the song because it was trying to blow you back on your butt. And oh man,
especially if somebody's got like a double kick.
Yeah, so I always play double kick. Always.
Yep.
Oh man,
always.
When we get back to normal, you and I may have to like get our setup and just go like, no, that's what we'll do is we'll take over the little auxiliary gym where we used to do the fan meet and greets. Now it's just the music room. Sorry, Steve, we're taking over.
Got a music room that we can jam out in over there.
That would be great. We'll have to do that at some point.
Absolutely.
You know, staying on the subject of music, what would you say the best show you've ever been to has been, musically speaking?
Oh, the best concert I've been to?
Yeah.
Well, there's two of them. So obviously Rascal Flatts and Dana Shea. That show together, those two artists together, just blew me away. But my favorite metal scene was 311 and Alien Ant Farm. They killed it.
Okay. What you tell us?
Absolutely killed it. I had never thought that Alien Ant Farm was so hard until I went to this show, you know. So I've been to several shows, but that one for some reason is the one that always stuck with me because 311 did a drum line. All the members of the band had a drum, and they actually did a drum solo with every single one of the members, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yes. So.
I'd have to go with Blue Man Group then for me, just because you just never really know what's coming next with them, and just the musicality and the creativeness there. I appreciate the artistry that Blue Man Group throws out there. I'm a big Blue Man Group fan. What about you, Jeff?
I've never seen them, and I would love to see them in person.
When things get back to normal, I would definitely say when we have a weekend, a Warrior weekend, see if you can wrangle up a hotel and go spend a day in Chicago and go check out Blue Man Group over on the North End. They're up there by Wrigley Field at the Briar Street Theater. It's a good show. I definitely recommend it. What about you, Jesse? What's the best show you've ever been to?
In terms of like just absolutely being blown away with musical quality, I saw Rush on their Clockwork Angels tour many years ago, and Neil Peart did a drum solo in each of the 3 sets that was absolutely phenomenal. But like my favorite concert, just being a huge fan of The Who, was getting to see them play Quadrophenia in its entirety in 2012.
Ooh. You know what? If my mother ever watched this episode, she will probably never forgive me for bringing up that I went and Rob, you'll probably appreciate this being a country fan. I went and saw Garth Brooks for my first concert up at the Rosemont.
And the Garth Brooks.
No, well, I was and now I'm not, but it's for like personal reasons. I don't approve of certain things that he's done in terms of his personal life. It kind of stems down to, I realized that a lot of the songs that he was singing was really just stories about him and the random hookups he'd have on the road. You know?
Well, isn't that like kind of like the basis for a lot of music in general, of like, you know, there's a little bit of personal little bit of personal touch in all the songs.
Oh yeah,
it is. Yeah, sure.
No,
that's what makes good singers, though, is that they sing about their lives and people are interested because they pull them in.
Yeah. So you said you like country. Do you like older country, say like Marty Robbins, Conway Twitty?
No,
not that far back.
He likes new country.
I'm into newer country. However, there are some older country artists that I like They're not older, but they're older, like Jason Aldean and
Yeah.
you know, who else can I say? I don't like Big Little Town. I never could stand that. But like, I like music that makes me want to sing with them, if that makes sense. Like,
So what's your stance on our patron saint Dolly Parton?
she's an icon. I don't listen to her music, but she's an icon. So
She's amazing.
I respect her. And actually, this year I was thinking about going to Dollywood. We ended up changing last minute. We're going to go to Kings Island and do Dollywood a different time. But
Ooh.
she's an icon.
I will highly recommend because my girlfriend and we tend to go to Gatlinburg almost every year with our friends. Gatlinburg is a amazing getaway. Go in the fall.
In the
Like
fall.
that it is one of the best, it's the best time to go up there. I mean, I love getting out of Middle Tennessee into East Tennessee as much as I can. And the area around Dollywood, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, it's just so beautiful. It's an
Yeah, we're thinking
amazing
about
vacation.
renting a cabin and
Yep.
going to Dollywood. We were going to do that this year, but we decided to do Kings Island instead. Which we're right now. My wife and I are traveling. Not to segue to something different, but my wife and I are trying to hit all 50 states.
Ooh.
And we're up to 13 so far together.
There you go.
And we're taking selfies in each state and putting it on a board where you cut your picture out of the actual map and you stick it in there. So
See, that is incredible.
that's what
That
we're doing.
is
Yes.
that is couple goals right
It
there.
is, and we decided with ourselves that I do a lot of traveling and it's not fair that I get to see stuff and she doesn't. And we decided to go ahead and start traveling together. And it's been the best thing ever.
Oh,
So,
I feel you. In another lifetime, I was in the army and I got to go to Germany. And I always said, I have to bring my girlfriend over here and have her check this out because I loved Germany. I thought that it was a really fun country to run around in for a couple of weeks.
absolutely.
So I feel you. Briefly though, you said you're doing the you want to hit all 50 states. I always see on social media that little, check the states you've been to, and all that stuff. In that situation, I want like a group panel vote here. Does it count if you only drove through the state but
Nope.
didn't get out? It does not count.
No,
Okay.
not for us, it doesn't.
Okay.
Got to stop to get out to pee at some point.
Okay.
So to us, we're actually going and going to stay the night in each one of them for
There
the
you go.
day.
Okay.
Day or so. We are trying to, and then like the eastern seaboard, you know how that all that runs together up there. What
Yeah.
we're going to do is stay the night somewhere, but go to each one of these states and try to do something while we're
Knock
there
them out. Yeah.
and knock them out. That's the way we're going to do the east. But for all the rest of them, we actually stay.
There you go.
So
Man, I would probably. Have you been to Virginia yet?
nope.
If you get out to like the east coast of Virginia and you're into theme parks and roller coasters,
Yep.
go check out Busch Gardens out there in James. It's either Richmond or Jamestown or
I think it's Jamestown.
Jamestown. Yeah, Jamestown. Busch Garden. Good selection of roller coasters, good food, not a huge amount of a crowd. To me, it's what Epcot should be because it's got like the global theme, but with actual roller coasters. It's really fun. I would say check out Busch Gardens in Jamestown, Virginia.
We just knocked out Florida actually because we went to Disney. So
I'm actually invading the Orlando area right after Mania. I'm looking forward to going back to Universal because since I'd last been there, they've increased the Harry Potter coverage. They've actually got the train you can ride and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to that.
yep, I'm going back to Florida in May myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna take a guy's trip and go.
There you go.
My brother and I and a couple of our friends are just gonna go to Florida, hang out, So
Oh man. So we've pretty much touched on a lot of the topics that we definitely wanted to hit, but we've got one more left.
okay.
And this is probably the fun one. Stories.
So
Some good stories that are not going to get you heat with anybody or
that's what I gotta think, man.
yeah.
So
I love that. I love that face.
That's the hardest part is like, okay, how can I tell the story without completely like burying somebody or getting heat? Like try to change the names and stuff.
Ben and Stacy.
So I really don't know, man. All my stories are like
Harry.
That's
and so I let's just say I've seen a lot. Obviously I worked in Impact for 2 years. I've been with Billy. I believe it or not, I've been with Billy Corgan since 2012. And
wow.
when he worked Resistance Pro Wrestling, I was in Resistance Pro with him. And I actually showed up and did a tryout, and he picked me up that day. And I've been with him ever since. So that's how I got in Impact Wrestling, by the way.
So I have to ask,
Sure.
as you are close with Billy Corgan, have you ever had the opportunity to sit down and rock out with him at all?
He will not talk music with me.
Refuses to? Okay.
Yep. And I think it's because I used to be in a band, and he always says, me and you are only going to talk about wrestling. So we haven't talked about music. And it's so crazy because I'm a musician and it drives me nuts. Like, I just want to have a pick your brain session about music and not wrestling, and he won't do it.
He won't do it.
No, but we are, I dare to say that Billy and I are super close. And, I'm going to say this, but Josephus was a really close friend of mine. Me and Josephus were the only two really left out of the core group of guys that's been with Billy since the beginning. So Josephus hit me really hard. And my heart goes out to his son, and I'm glad everybody raised the money they raised for his son and stuff. But yeah, Billy's a really good friend of mine, and he's always looked out for me. But one time, I'll tell you one story.
Okay, here we go.
And I don't think it's gonna give me any heat, but this one kid came to a show in Chicago. I'll never forget it. And he didn't like the way he was being booked. And he went to the man and told him he didn't like the way he was being booked. I have never seen someone get so angry so quick in my life. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was actually kind of nervous standing there because it was that much heat. You could feel the heat resonating off of everything, and you knew it was about to explode, and then he exploded. And I was scared shitless. I'm not gonna excuse my French. I was so scared because I had never seen this before. But man, you want to talk about somebody instantly getting in trouble, instantly losing everything. It was that one story where that one kid went and said, you know what, today's my day. I'm going to say what I want to say, and I'm going to go tell him what's on my mind. Probably not the smartest idea in the world.
Y'all want to see that body?
Probably not the smartest idea in the world. So,
man, yeah, sometimes it's okay to take that risk. Sometimes it's best to just keep your mouth shut.
Oh, man.
I've seen some shit, man. Excuse my French. I know I keep cussing.
No. Trust me. Like
we have a PG-13 rating. You're okay.
Yeah, we're both ex-military, so it's part of our vocabulary.
I say PG-13. We've dropped the bomb more than once on this show, so you're fine. You're fine. Don't feel bad.
I will say this: if I run into you two in person, I will throw down some stories for you that will make you go, "What?"
So I
was gonna say I do have a couple funny Josephus ones, but I can't tell them on here.
Right. So do I.
Yeah, because see, Josephus was he started as a cameraman at one of the promotions I worked for. Before he was Josephus, he was Joe Hudson, the camera guy at Saw, and I was reffing some of his early matches when he was adapting the Josephus character. And when Raven started doing shows with us and he was working with Josephus, just some of the hilarious stories of us going over stuff that I can't talk about.
Yeah, sure.
But I totally get it. I'll have to share some funny stories with you too.
Yes.
Oh man. God. There was the time that we had a waitress at a Hooters in Maryville convinced that Rhino was the Undertaker.
Oh my God.
For a good hour, she thought he was the Undertaker. He said it was the best night of his life. All the free food. He had just gotten free food and shit. It was great. Oh man. There was one that I will have to tell you offline though, because it involves a training seminar, and somebody that I would not call an actual worker somehow got onto the seminar, and oh man, gold ensued. But oh man, so much good stuff. So
eventually I'll get you some stories, I promise.
No worries. I'm sure we'll bump into each other here more than once here in the next couple of months. As we wind down here, Rob, what go ahead and plug your social media. How can people keep up with you and in your crazy world that you find yourself in?
So I am on Facebook. I mean, not really so much Facebook. It's Facebook, but Twitter and Instagram at Ref Rob King. And I update a lot of stuff, what's going on with the NWA and as well as Warrior Wrestling. You can reach out to me. Any referees that have a question, like I say in the Zebra Talk page, which I really love the Zebra Talk page. That I'm thankful that Robert put that together. For young referees to be able to ask questions and for us to be able to critique them. For some of us that's been doing it for a while, feel free to write to me, ask me anything. I want to help someone get to that next level. I want to be able to give advice that wasn't given to me when I went to the national level. I kind of just got thrown into the water, and it was either sink or swim.
So. And yeah, like a lot of times you find that I see that happen a lot to young referees. They get thrown out there. Like the first time I ever got inside the ring, I was thrown a shirt by my trainer and said, "Here, try not to suck." That was my training, and it was it was not near what you see now, but it was bad.
It's funny you say that. When I went to Impact, I flew myself down, and I just was like, man, I just want an opportunity. And Big, I don't know if you guys know who Big is. Big used to run the backstage. Yep. John Grubick.
Yep.
He said to me he said, "Hey, we're giving you a shot. You're on Explosion tonight. If you fuck up, you're done." And he said, "Good luck." And I went out and I did what I did. And I came back and he was like, "How would you like to work the rest of the week?" And I'm like, "Perfect.
Would love to." Yes, please.
I'd love to work the rest of the week. Thanks. I appreciate it. So. But yeah, I'm thankful you guys put this together, and it's nice to get to talk and go off a topic of wrestling sometimes and just get to know someone, because you would have never known that I like Rascal Flatts had you not started talking about it.
You just gave me all the ammo. I mean, you just opened up a whole new world to me. That's what I meant to say.
See, that's that's kind of like one of the main reasons why we wanted to do this. Was we wanted to talk with wrestling personalities about non-wrestling things, because we kind of look at this podcast as like, this is what you would do when you've got like a car full of guys in a 4-hour road trip. You don't want to always talk about wrestling. You want to talk about video games and movies and music. So that's
Absolutely.
This is just such an amazing thing to do.
When people have asked me just this week, they're like, what is this? I said, we're a pro wrestling podcast, but not necessarily a podcast about pro wrestling.
Sure.
And
that's so, on show days, everybody's so busy and everybody's trying to do this, that, and the other. So you don't really get to know someone at a show. You just don't. It's, like I've been working with Jared Fritz, and Jared is a very positive person. Let's just throw that out there. I don't know if you guys know who Jared Fritz is.
I communicate with him regularly. He's a good brother.
Familiar with him.
Really good brother, really good guy. But I don't know Jared. We show up to our shows and we're so go, 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 go. Even though he's one of the nicest people I've ever met, and he's so positive, which is a good thing for us in the wrestling community, because not all of us are always positive.
That's what, that would probably be the only negative thing I have to say about the business of pro wrestling, is it goes so fast. You don't have time to sit back and relax always and enjoy the company of the locker room at times. It's very bang, 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 bang. And,
So,
yeah,
absolutely.
But, Rob, again, I just want to thank you so much for coming on here. It means the world to us that you would take time out of your very busy schedule to come on here and just chew the fat with us and, burn an hour and just enlighten us and have some fun with us. Really
I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
you guys having me. Honestly, I really do.
And obviously we would love to have you back in the future and maybe talk some more, and maybe I'll make you see the light as to why liking the Rascal Flats maybe isn't the strongest move you could make.
You're not gonna change my mind.
I mean, just hear me out. I'm just saying, there's always room to sit next to me here on the Nickelback wagon,
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
You knew that no. You knew that no was coming when you said that.
I know.
Oh, no.
I assume that no is coming when the word Nickelback is coming out of my mouth.
No.
Speaking of guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
No.
So,
all right.
yeah, you gentlemen, appreciate. Like I said, I appreciate you having me on, and look forward to talking to you guys in the future. I look forward to working with you here in a couple weeks. And,
brother, I can't wait to say hey to you in person. June 5th.
June 5th. I got all my days messed up, so sorry.
June 5th is the one I've got memorized because that's the first one back. That's when I've got to kind of be back in shape for it,
June 5th.
Then June 5th, Saturday. Hopefully the weather will be nice and beautiful and we won't have any rain this time.
Absolutely. That would be nice.
That'd be nice. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Rob had the task of doing a match that completely changed its identity due to inclement weather. He had TJP and Alex Shelley, and the match that you see in the Warrior Wrestling Archives is not necessarily the match that they had in mind. And I'm pretty certain that it changed probably about 20 minutes before they went out the curtain. Give or take. Yeah, so go back
because the mat was wet.
Yeah, and it soaked through, and putting the new canvas on it just so go back and watch that match because it was really good considering there wasn't a lot of high spots to it per se. Not necessarily a match you would expect out of those two, but it was still an amazing technical match. So go back and watch that match. So. But anyways, Jesse, do you have any parting words for us?
Just the simple don't add to the population, don't subtract to the population, and don't be the reason why we have a safety briefing on Monday.
All right. With that being said, this is Pop Goes the Zebra. Wishing you all a good night and have a pleasant evening.